All right, welcome everyone. As you're getting settled in, welcome to the Bachelor of Social Work or BSW information session. I'm Gail Zook. I am the Associate Dean of the undergrad programs for the Faculty of Social Work. We also have two incredible student services advisors with us, and that's Jen and Nicole, and you might get a chance to meet them later if you join us in our Zoom room after this session. So this session is to just give you information about how to apply and to listen to your program options, what you need to get in and that type of thing. So we're just going to get started now. So first I want to acknowledge all of the Indigenous peoples who call Canada home and who've been on this land and walking on this land gently for time immemorial. I'm grateful to work and to live and to be on this land. Thank you. The Faculty of Social Work acknowledges inequities experienced by racialized people, Indigenous people, and other marginalized populations, and we aim to foster an environment that recognizes and celebrates diverse perspectives. As social workers, we're committed to eradicating all forms of injustices. So if you're here tonight, we're starting with welcome and introductions. I did a brief one. I'm going to talk to you about your options. Why this BSW? Why not others? What's involved in the application process, because you all are aware that deadlines are looming. March is around the corner. We're already at the end of January. I'm going to tell you how your application is evaluated so you can strategically plan how you apply, what you say in your application, and those types of things. And then we'll just end the presentation with some great tips for how to reach us. And then those of you who have specific questions after this session can join us in the Zoom room that will be available to you to come and chat with me one-on-one. So as I said, I'm Gail Zook. I am the Associate Dean of the undergrad programs for our Faculty of Social Work, and I'm delighted to have everyone here tonight. So the University of Calgary Faculty of Social Work, we're proud and fairly boastful that we're the largest faculty and school of social work across Canada. We offer BSWs, MSWs, grad certificates, PhDs. We have scholars that are nationally and globally recognized, many of whom are strong advocates for social justice. What's exciting is that we're launching into our second year of our brand new redesigned BSW program. And so our curriculum is current. It was informed by students, by community, by alumni, by scholars, social work practitioners, our sessional instructors, our faculty members, our student services team. So it was 2 years in the making, and now we're launching into the second year of our brand new program. So we designed the program to have core courses, foundational skills and courses, social work option courses, and field education. Field education, for those of you who might not be familiar, are practicums or placements, we call them in social work. Other places might call them locums, preceptorships, those types of things. But it's basically working in your field while you're in school so that you get that supervision that you need to become a professional social worker. So our foundational skills and theories really look at the scope of social work practice. They build on foundational knowledge around research, social work theories, social work approaches, how you work with people across the lifespan. Our core courses include things like multiple dimensions of mental health, leadership, practicing in an interconnected world, green social work and sustainability, Indigenous peoples, and Afrocentric social work practice. So regardless of which program pathway you're going to be applying for, those are your core courses. Your social work option courses give you the opportunity to really invest in what you're passionate about. So maybe you want to take a course on gerontology or loss and grief or trauma or children's services. Those will be available to you depending on your curriculum pathway as to when they're scheduled in your program. We're also really excited to have a brand new field education model. which involves you if you're a university transfer student. And I'll talk later about the differences between being a university transfer student or an Alberta post diploma student. What we're excited about, it's called Community Engaged Practicum, and it means right when you start with us, start your 2 years with us, you get engaged in community immediately, and really design a learning journey for yourself over your first year of study with us. So what are your program options? We have 2 program options. The blended program, which is available to our university transfer students. So university transfer students are those who have 2 years of study, or 57 units, or credits, if you want to call it that, but 2 years of study, and they're applying, or those who already have a degree and they're applying. So university transfer includes people with 2 years and folks who have a full degree. The online program is available to university transfer students as well. And it's also available to our Alberta post diploma route students. And it's 24 months. So I'm going to take you through each one of those. So the blended program, you might actually have more of a language of hybrid program. So what that means is you're a full-time student, but you're on campus in Calgary, Edmonton, or Lethbridge 1 full day a week. So our courses are in 3-hour blocks. So from 9 to noon, you would be doing one course, have your lunch break. From 1 to 4, you're doing another course. So 1 full day a week, you're on campus. We have campuses, obviously, in Calgary. Also in Edmonton, it's at Enterprise Square, which is the old Bay Building, downtown Edmonton, and in Lethbridge, which is on the University of Lethbridge campus. So you'd be doing 1 full day in person every week. You also have other classes, and they're live classes, but they're online. So they are what we call synchronous. So you need to log in at those set times on those days of the week, and you'd be doing those classes as well. It's a 20-month program, so it's fairly condensed, which means in your first year with us, which is year 3, you'd be doing fall, so September to December. You'd be doing winter, January to April, and then you'd also be doing spring, which is May and June. And then in your 4th year, you'd be doing fall and winter again. It requires 30 to 35 hours or more per week. Remember that you're attending classes online or in person, but you also have assignments to do. You need to be out in the community. You need to be doing other things. So these are full-time pathways. Both of them are considered full-time. So let's talk about the online program then. The online program is 24 months. So we took the curriculum and stretched it over 20 months. You are not on campus. You have real-time online classes though. So even though you're not in classes, you might be logging in from 5:30 to 8:30 on one day. You might be logging in from 9 to noon one day. Again, social work courses, our classes are 3-hour blocks. In addition to that though, you're going to be doing some other independent learning. In comparison to the blended program, it's less courses per term. Having said that, you're in classes all year round. So it's condensed because you're taking less, but we're stretching it out. So you're in classes fall, winter, spring, and summer. There are a week or 2 off in between those terms. And it requires 18 to 24 hours more per week to your study. Okay. Except for practicum, and I'll talk about practicums in a minute. Your practicums, you're not necessarily, you don't need to be in campus, and we work with you to try to find a practicum in or close to your community as long as it's in Canada. So both of these require, excuse me, reliable internet, because we no longer have a completely face-to-face or in-person program, which means you need to have good internet. You need to have consistent computer usage. You are expected to have audio like I do, camera like I do for all of your classes. Both are accredited programs, and that's really important. Never take a social work program that's not accredited by the Canadian Association of Schools of Social Work. It's really important to be accredited so that you can become a registered social worker. Both pathways lead to the same parchment, so there's no difference in your degree, looks the same, and both are considered full-time for funding purposes. So you're taking a minimum of 3 classes per term, fall and winter, to make sure that you qualify for student loans, bursaries, scholarships, whatever the case may be. And I'll talk a little bit more about these programs as we proceed. So I just want to highlight again, amplify, get on my soapbox. These are full-time programs. You cannot do them part-time. We do not have a part-time pathway. So that means you're going to be going to classes, you're going to be doing assignments, you're going to be doing readings, you're going to be committing to practicum. So all students for the senior practicum, so university transfer and social work diploma students, for the 590 and 592 are what I call the senior one, your final placement. Those are full-time. So you really need to plan your budget, to look at your curriculum pathway and say, okay, for that term, I've got to be doing this for full-time. So I need to take a leave from my job, or I need to get extra childcare, or whatever the case may be. And if you look at your curriculum pathway, it tells you that, what term you would be doing that. So full-time means that you're committing full-time hours. So I just wanted to really highlight that. This is not a part-time program. So let's talk about your placement. Okay, so in social work, we call it field education. And what that means is you're going to be sitting in classes. Maybe I'm your instructor, so you're sitting in my class online, or if you're doing the blended program, maybe you're on campus for that one day. And you're going to listen, and we're going to interact, and we're going to do all of these things. But now we want you to be out in community. So it's like work experience, all right? And that needs to be for the 590 and 592. You must free up that time to do that. Now for the university transfer stream, it's a little bit different. Why it's different is because the accreditation standard says at the end of the day, in other words, when you're completed this degree, any BSW in Canada, you need to have a balance of non-social work courses and social work courses. So university students, you're coming in really with a lot of non-social work courses. So you're out of balance, because we want to get you as close to that 50-50 as possible under accreditation standards. So we need to top you up. We need to get you those social work courses going right away. So as soon as you come into the program, you're going to be doing your community engaged practicum, which requires hours outside of class, right? So you might be with me on Zoom for 3 hours, but you're also maybe doing 5 or 10 hours in the community, or maybe you're doing a webinar on a Saturday because you want to get a micro credential in something, those types of things, okay? So just, you need to plan for that. The senior practicum, again, all students take, and that one is full-time. So how do I know if I'm ready to apply? All right. I'm going to walk you through the approved Alberta Social Work Diploma. Now, the advantage to having an approved, and by that we mean we have a transfer agreement in place, it can only be from Alberta, the Alberta Social Work Diploma. The advantage is you're coming in really top heavy with a lot of social work courses. So you don't do that junior practicum, or what we call the community engaged practicum. You're only doing the senior one. So that's the advantage. But what it means is that we need to ensure that you get more non-social work courses. I don't know, philosophy, psychology, sociology, political science, gender studies, Indigenous studies, what have you. Okay, so we want to make sure that that's balanced out. So you're coming with an approved Alberta Social Work Diploma. You need to have that completed by the end of winter term in application. So it's sort of weird, because you're actually going to be applying for the BSW, but you haven't quite finished your diploma, because that would happen later this year in a couple of months, really. All right. And just note that it's a competitive admission process, regardless of which pathway you're applying to. And the competitive GPA sits around a 3.0. Okay. So let's talk about the university transfer stream. So the university transfer stream, there's two groups. One is I'm an after degree student. The second is I have something in process. So I've been taking general studies, or maybe I was enrolled in a Bachelor of Arts, but decided I want to go into social work instead, or a Bachelor of Science, what have you. Okay. You need 57 units. And these courses have to be transferable to the University of Calgary. So maybe you took them at a different institution in Alberta or somewhere across Canada, or maybe even outside of Canada. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But you need to have basically 19 courses or 57 units. The 20th course is a program requirement. It's called Social Work 201, and I'll talk about that. Again, the estimated GPA is a 3.0. Okay. Now, if you're an after degree applicant, obviously the 57 units, where you're transferring your whole degree, you're applying with your whole degree, but you still have that competitive GPA. So those of you who are university transfer students that do not have a degree, you need the 57 units, and then you need that Social Work 201, which is a program requirement. So you can do it prior, or you can do it during your program right at the front end. I always encourage you, once if you do get a letter of offer from us for admission, that you get that Social Work 201 out of the way as soon as possible, because it can hold up your progression into other courses. All right. I just want to, over the years, we've had a lot of questions about very specific things. So I just want to take the time to be clear about what the student services team, that's Jen and Nicole, and myself can answer, and what we can't, or what we can't be helpful with. If your social services or social work diploma is not from Alberta, I have a social work diploma from Ontario. It is not a direct transfer. All right. You may be granted up to 1 year of study, but you would typically require a lot more non-social work courses. Okay. We do not have transfer agreements in place across provincial boundaries. Okay. So if you have a diploma from Ontario, you need to have a lot of up to 10 additional courses. Again, psychology that isn't part of your diploma, political science that isn't part of your diploma, gender studies that is not part of your diploma. So the diploma plus additional courses. Okay. If you have a non-social work diploma, and I gave examples because, again, these are questions that we get. I have a diploma in child and youth care. I have a diploma in rehab. I have a diploma in disability studies from University of Manitoba. Again, you may be granted up to 1 year of study. We do not make that assessment. The admission team at the University of Calgary does. Okay, so they're the ones that can answer that. But typically, you might get up to 1 year of study. So again, you would need to have those courses. I have a degree from a university in Australia, or I have a degree from a university in Kenya, or I have a degree from a university in Argentina. We do not assess those. We don't know how they're going to transfer. We have no idea. You need to contact admissions, not our faculty, but the admissions team at the University of Calgary. They are great at doing those assessments. I always encourage people, if you have a degree outside of Canada, apply early, because then at least your credential will get assessed, and then you'll know whether or not you can qualify to apply for our program, or what you need to do to apply later. So I always encourage people that have degrees outside of Canada to pay the fee for the application, so that those credentials can get assessed and you can start working with the University of Calgary admissions team on that. Another question we get a lot of is, I don't know if I have enough transferable courses. I think I do, but I went to school from 2014 to 2016, and then I took 3 years off because I had kids, and then I think I went to this other institution for a year. I don't really remember how many courses I got there. If you're not sure, apply. It's worth the fee, because then you know, again, it's like, oh, rats, I only have 15 courses. I'm 4 courses short from being able to apply. Or I'm good and I actually have too many courses. That would be nice as well. So again, the university admissions team assesses these. Our faculty does not. So everybody who applies, it goes through admissions first, and then it comes over to the faculty. All right. For the university transfer students, you're coming into our program with no social work experience. So you're going to need the 57 units plus social work 201. Social work 201 is a basic introduction to social work and social welfare in Canada. The social work diploma students, again, you have too many social work courses, again, for accreditation. So you don't need to have social work 201 because you know a lot about social work already. Okay. And I always encourage you, again, get that course preferably before you start in September so that you're not all of a sudden taking an extra course while you're trying to adjust to taking a full-time load already. Okay. And our student services team can help you with that within the faculty if you need assistance. Oops. Back. My apologies. I'm just going to go one back. All right. So how do I apply? There's lots of specifics on the application process on this web link here. So you're going to go to future students, apply, Bachelor of Social Work. Okay. The first. It's also important to know, I know folks applying to university don't want to have everything in one place. So it's like, I want to apply here and here and here. Maybe I'll get into one of them. We only allow you one program option. So you need to make a decision. Do I want blended or do I want online if you're a university transfer student? And what does that look like for me? And where am I going to be living? Do I want blended in Calgary? Do I want blended in Edmonton? Do I want blended in Lethbridge? All right. So we have 2 things that we're assessing you on. We're assessing you on GPA, but we're also assessing you on these supplementary questions called program-specific questions. These questions are great. They were designed by the BSW Policy Committee that I chair as we were designing the BSW program, and students were involved in that, in the decisions about what questions would be helpful. And we really want to get a sense, being the best social worker doesn't mean having the highest GPA. It's more than that because we're a profession. So we designed program-specific questions or a supplement to what you're going to be submitting to us. So the first question, reflect on who you are as a person, your lived experience, your life influences, and discuss how they've contributed to your pursuit of social work education. In other words, tell us about you. These answers only come to the admissions person that's reviewing your application from the admissions committee within the faculty. It doesn't go to the admissions team at the University of Calgary, just that it's completed. So we look at them and we assess those. So we really want to get a sense from you. Who are you and why social work? Why didn't you choose something else? What's driving you towards social work? Because again, it's a profession. The second question that you're asked to answer in your program-specific question is to tell us about your community engagement. And what are you passionate about? What issue is just really standing out for you as needing to be addressed in this post-pandemic world and with everything going on in the world? And what's causing that? What's contributing to it? We want to hear from you. What's your perspective on whatever social issue you're passionate about? Finally, the students really wanted, who helped design these questions, really wish that they had the opportunity when they apply for programs to say, what's your hope and dream if you get this degree? So what do you hope to develop in our program? Like, what are you hoping to get from us, from your courses, from your practicums? And how do you see yourself as a future social worker? Where are you practicing? Who are you practicing with? What does that look like for you? Doesn't mean you have all of the answers, but you have some goals. And that's really what we want to hear from you. These are specific to you, your lived experiences, your understandings, your passion, and your future. So write in the first person, I, okay? Make sure you read it and correct errors for grammar, for spelling. And I want to say really clearly, use the space that you're given, not just a sentence or two. Give it some thought. Okay? Give it some thought before you just write the answer. Now, why I'm telling you this, that you need to take a breath and you need to really think through your answer for each of those questions, is that the admissions committee, which is myself as chair, and then other faculty members, we are assessing the program specific questions is 50% of our assessment of your application, 50%. And your GPA is the other 50%. So does GPA matter? Absolutely. And GPA means grade point average. And yes, it matters. But so do the program specific questions equally matter. So write and tell us about who you are and use the words that you're allowed to, and take the space and the time to do complete answers. Okay? And that's how your application is evaluated. So I did this. I think my transcripts are on their way. I've gone through the application process. I've submitted my program specific questions. Now what? How do I know? Well, the neat thing is when you apply, you're given a UCID number. In other words, a University of Calgary student ID number. And that means you're going to have access to the student center, and you're going to be able to actually look at the status of your application. It's checked. If it's a green check mark, it's like, yes, you have applied. There's a letter available to read, maybe you were declined, maybe you paid a deposit, but keep track of that in your student center. If you need help with the students, if you're not quite sure how to figure out your student center, reach out to our student services team and they'll be happy to help you with that. The other thing is, you must monitor your emails. We do not personally call hundreds of students. So your email is where you're going to also see information, okay? So just make sure that you check on your student center. All right, that takes us to the end of our presentation, my presentation, I guess. But we are going to take a 5-minute break. There's a link on this final page saying to join us and give us 5 minutes because we need to log out of this platform and into the other. If you want to grab that link, I did set up a waiting room, but we'll just quickly admit everybody. And then you can actually ask if you have questions or want to know something, you can join me and the student services team in that room, and we'll just go through everyone's questions in that space where it's more interactive and I get to meet you as well. So that's for tonight. If you have other questions, you're welcome to email the student services team at FSW, student services at UCalgary. You can book an appointment with them in that way as well. The other thing that I have, I think it's every 2 weeks, but if you go to the website that says Ask the Associate Dean, if you click on that link, you'll see that I have an open office hour. And what that means is I am sitting in my virtual office, and you can just drop in and ask me a question or raise a concern or want some guidance about your educational journey, whatever the case may be. And those are available to you as well. And it's just an open office hour. So it's like you've knocked on my door and I let you in, you ask your question, and on your way you go. All right. All the best in your educational journey. I hope that this webinar has been helpful to you in your educational pursuits. I hope I was mostly clear. If I wasn't, feel free to pop into that interactive Zoom session in 5 minutes and we'll methodically go through your questions. Thanks, everyone, and take care.